Stay right there. Again, this is Mohammed Siddiq, publisher of Work From Home magazine. I know you wanted to start your own business, or you already have a business. You wanted to be an entrepreneur, or you are already a successful entrepreneur. That's why you're reading this magazine anyway. Is that right? Say yes. I know that already. Let me tell you, I have been an entrepreneur over 20 years, worked with over 1,300 companies. That's why I know a little thing what not to do. And I thought I knew it all already. You know what? That's my ego. I'm just talking about to you now. I thought I knew it already until I met this special guest. His name is Marvin. You can see him on the screen. Marvin Storm, give a smile.
Hi.
Okay, cool. So we are. I'm going to start a cut. I'm going to start all over. Stay right there. Again, this is Mohammed Siddiq, publisher of Work From Home magazine. I know you are reading this magazine. Why? Because you are an entrepreneur, or you want to start a business. You already have a business, or you already successful employ so many other people in your company. You want to work for yourself. Is that right? Here's a big problem in working for yourself. You need a discipline. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You know, it's a given. I've been in business over 20 years, worked with over 1,300 clients, so I know what works, what doesn't work, and I thought I knew it all. I'm just kind of talking about my ego here. Just live with me on this until I met our special guest today, Marvin Storm. He is the transition specialist. I'm going to read his bio. Marvin, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
Marvin, where you're hanging out from today?
I'm up in the Sierra foothills in Northern California, about 40 miles east of Sacramento.
Wonderful. I am again Mohammed Siddiq. I'm hanging out from Atlanta, Georgia. It's a very beautiful day, and I'm sure wherever you are watching this, hopefully you have the same or better weather. And I met Marvin on a LinkedIn. If you don't know what the LinkedIn is, I'm going to show you how you can actually find good content and actually read it all. I'm sharing my screen right now, and Marvin wrote this article. I screwed up my kids because I'm an entrepreneur. That was a very good headline for me to get my attention. Marvin, congrats, you are successful. Okay. And then I saw that 19,000, at the time of this recording, I'm showing you live right now that 19,000 people read it. Probably after this interview, and they're going to see it all. You see that like a kid throwing away the dollar sign. Very nice picture. My dad was a man's man, and we are going to ask why he wrote this article, why it was even important for him. And then he talked about everything. I want you to suggest, we are publishing this article as is in a magazine, so you can read it all. Because you are watching video, you may not have read the article yet. If you have not read the article, I want you to read word by word. That's very impressive. And Marvin is also telling us 3 things entrepreneurs should teach their children. That's a wonderful question. I have a children, and hopefully you have, your kids too. And if you don't have your own kids, I'm sure one of you in your family somehow has kids. Pass on that message to them. Why it's important for, if they own the business, why they should be teaching the kids. Talk about being an entrepreneur. Hire your children. 3 things, and have your kids start their own business. You know what? I failed so far to have start my kids own the business, and hopefully we can figure out from this interview. And I'm going to learn with you together. We are in this together. You know that it's a work from home magazine community. We learn from each other, and we bring in the experts like Marvin Storm. And by the way, friends call him Marv, M-A-R-V, and that's a very nice nickname, by the way. So congrats on that one. You probably have so many friends. And here is Marvin Storm, a formal introduction. See, I'm just hijacking it right from LinkedIn. I don't have to remember what to say. I'm reading it right from the statement. You can read it before even I am going to read it. But let me do my job. Marvin Storm is recognized as a national business entrepreneur and franchise expert with more than 25 experience in all aspects of entrepreneurship and franchising. Marvin is the author of Transition from Employee to Entrepreneur. Of course, you can add him on Facebook, Twitter, and Time to Transition blog. And also, I want you highly suggest and recommend, in fact, add him on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place where you can have a professional networking environment. So that brings me, Marv, to my favorite question, which I always open up with. What gives you the right to speak on this topic?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity here to talk a little bit about one of the things I'm very passionate about. Entrepreneurs are a unique breed of personality. They tend to be very passionate. They tend to be very driven. They tend to focus a lot on their objective or dream, mission. And because of that, a lot of times they get so involved in what they're doing that they don't practice what they preach a lot. Sometimes, in my case, I was growing a business. I started my business career very early and got lucky and built a very successful business early on. And while I was doing that, my family was there right by my side. But all of the things I was consulting with and telling people to do, sometimes I didn't always communicate what I was doing to my family and especially my children. I had 5 kids, and they watched me grow my business and be an entrepreneur. And I didn't share a lot of what was going on with me and a little bit about what my thoughts were on entrepreneurship. Even though they saw what I was doing, they didn't understand the reasoning behind it a lot of times. And only years later, in some discussions I had with my kids, did I become aware of what they were going through and what they were experiencing.
Thank you so much. That reminds me a story about my daughter. In fact, she was in grade 2nd. Now she's in grade 11 at the time of this interview. And her teacher, the teacher always asks, what your dad do? That's kind of question. They kind of teach them what they should be writing as an answer. My daughter wrote an essay when I was reading her homework. Say, my dad inspires other people. She did not have a clue what I do for a living. She always find out on her own what I was doing for a living. And it's true, by the way, I inspire other people. I never told her I'm guilty of doing the same thing, so I'm publicly admitting that mistake. However, she came up with it. I was almost crying on that thing when she said, my dad inspires people, inspire others. That was her answer. So why letting your children and teaching your children is that important and so relevant to the entrepreneur discussion? Marvin, go for it.
Well, in my case, one of the things entrepreneurs face periodically is financially challenging times. And that was no exception in my home and in my business. There were times when the cash flow was very good and we lived well. And we took trips and vacations and lived in a nice community, a very upscale community, where my kids could go to school. And there were other times, even though we were living in the community, I was, a few weeks away from teetering into bankruptcy because I was expanding my business. I was going through a tremendous learning curve. And during that learning curve, my kids observed that there wasn't all that cash around, and they became somewhat insecure. And so I didn't share with my children at the time what was going on. I tried to, wrongly so, I believe, shelter them from what reality was. And so they made assumptions. And so that is one of the reasons I wrote the article, why I'm so passionate about it for entrepreneurs that are in business today and those that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. Give this a little consideration of the people that are on the train, on your entrepreneurial train with you, and enjoying the ride, that you share with them what's going on while you're cruising down the tracks. I think it's crucial and important. If I had to do it all over again, I think my kids would appreciate what was going on then and have a greater appreciation for the entrepreneurial journey. And they would have different feelings about it today than they do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell us, I was reading your article here, and tell us when I'm reading your story, I have a distinct memory of him. You're talking about your dad, white T-shirt, pack of cigarettes, roll up in a sleeve, and tell us more what you are thinking. I remember riding with him, and you are 5 years old. That's a great memory, by the way. Looking down at speedometer, that was pushing at 100 miles per hour. Tell us more. It's about your dad.
Well, as I said in the article that I wrote, my dad, he was a single dad at the time, and he was the man's man. He was like James Dean or Marlon Brando. He was, had a suntan skin, jet black hair, combed back, and he had his Indian motorcycle, and we rode around town. I lived in a small community in the Midwest, and I idolized my father. And he was a mechanic. He later started his own business so I was an entrepreneur's son. I went to the shop. He had his own auto mechanic and parts store, and I worked right beside him and saw him sweat and when he was overhauling an engine, so I was there, early in the morning till late at night when he went home, and but I have fond memories of that. It's something my kids don't have the same type of memories of their entrepreneurial father. It was entirely different. The environment that I grew up in was different because I wanted my kids to have things that I didn't have, and so I shielded them from a lot of things that I was not shielded from, and I think that was a mistake.
However, because of this interview, we are opening up that mistake and we are admitting it publicly, and a potentially goal is that millions of people will be watching over a period of time, because once we record the Hangout, it's living forever. That's your legacy, Marvin. So you're going to help many, many people years from now from this interview that they won't do a mistake. And our goal is to impact at least one entrepreneur who will change the way they have done it wrong way, just like I have done wrong way myself. And Marvin admitted himself he has done wrong way. And now we are discussing what not to do. That's called experience. Is that true, Marvin?
Absolutely. A mistake is only a mistake if you repeat it. And big believer in that saying.
Okay, wonderful. You also talk about in this article, I'm showing it on a screen right now, I did not have a steady paycheck. Tell me about this one, because I have been an entrepreneur for 20 years. My wife loves sometime when the money is coming. When it's not, she's cranky already. Okay, I'm saying it on the public. That's true almost in every home and family, just like you are shielding it. However, the only difference is to my wife, I'm 100% open book. I tell her, if there's no money coming, you can't spend it. That's it. Our credit limit is what's in the bank account, not on the credit card. So tell us how you are dealing with it. I just shared with you how I deal myself.
Well, as I grew my business, I suffered from too much success almost too early in my business. For any entrepreneur that is growing a business, that as revenues escalate, costs escalate, and cash flow management becomes crucial. And my business entered into a hyper growth curve, and so there were times when I was young and inexperienced, and really believed I had more money than I had, because I looked at the balance in my checking account, and I made decisions based on that balance on my checking account. And I overexpanded in my business and created real cash crunches. So one year to the next, we were flush and were making good income and money. And a year or two down the road, things were different. Not because my business wasn't successful, it was because my business was consuming huge amounts of cash. And I had to start juggling the cash flow. And as I said earlier, I didn't share what was going on with my family like my dad did. My dad was pretty transparent, and because I was in the shop and I saw what was going on and I saw him paying the bills, and we talked about it. So I knew that cash was tight, and my family never knew that. I just let them assume that everything was fine, and then when the cash started to become a little tighter, I didn't tell them why. And so I guess my advice to those who are entrepreneurs growing a business is that let your family know what's going on, and trust them a little more than I trusted my family.
Thank you so much. I know that it takes a lot of courage to say all this on a recorded interview, and I can feel it. You have like emotions to it, because you have, almost like we all have a guilt. But I wish I could have not done that mistake. You know what? That's why we are human. That's why we are human, and we are willing to talk about it so we can address that problem. So that, and also at the same time, we don't want to have other millions of people who are trying to be in the same train where we've already been through, not do that mistake ever again. Is that correct? That's why we are on this interview?
Yes, this really came to light a while ago when I was visiting my youngest son, and he got his MBA, and he's climbing the corporate ladder, and we got to talking about is he ever going to go out on his own, start his own business? And for the first time, he shared with me that no, he probably would not consider that because of the experiences and the memories he has of being a kid in an entrepreneurial home. And I was surprised, I was blown away actually, that he had these emotions of feeling insecure, feeling very vulnerable financially. I said we lived in an affluent neighborhood and community, and others, fathers had somewhat steady incomes and consistent lifestyles, and ours was, a little up and down. And, that bred an enormous amount of insecurity to him. And I had no idea that he had those feelings then, and I was surprised of how that had impacted him 20 years later, and how he had that emotional, feeling today about not wanting to take risk, not wanting to venture out. He's very security conscious and making an extraordinarily good salary for his time in the corporate environment, and is very successful. But he equates entrepreneurship with risk and financial insecurity, and that is absolutely just the opposite. And that's what I feel bad about, is that entrepreneurship, there is risk, but entrepreneurs tend to control their own future and not have others control it, making decisions for them. So you are really in a much less risk environment than you are working for somebody else in most cases. My son did not perceive that and has a distorted view of entrepreneurship because I did not share with him, what my motivations were, how I felt about things, and to kind of alleviate some of those insecurities.
Thank you so much. That's a great lesson. So that means we have to, as soon as you keep your family informed and be on the same page, that's really the simple message we are trying to convey here. Because if they are on board with you, you have that support, and you're lucky enough to have a support from your family, by the way, and it's very hard to be successful until your family is supporting you like fully 100%. I'm so blessed to have my family, my wife 100% with me. We don't agree on everything else, okay? So don't think we are the ideal couple living on this planet. Of course, we agree on something, on many things we don't agree at all. Okay. However, she always supported me 100% in my business, and she knows when we don't have money, and she knows when we have a lot of money. And that then you balance out the whole lifestyle. And then she always tells my daughter, and I have the only one child, so she tells and I tell my daughter too at the same time. However, it's not enough communication. We want to over communicate that one, get their blessing, get their thoughts, because now they're thinking more about how dad can do it better, and we can do together too at the same time. My wife worked with me for almost over 10 years on my sport. We done very well on that one. And then at time there was literally, like you said, no steady paycheck. We had it. And good thing is that she was on board right from day one, not like as like a touchwood and blessed. We always had money to put the food on the table. However, of course, you can't really go on those number of trips where you already go on when the good days, you know. So that you have to kind of balance out. Entrepreneur comes with the risks. Of course, I 100% agree with that. However, there's a big reward if you do it right. Person like me who has English as a fifth language, I came to this country, nobody knew, I did not know a single person to actually go about anything. And now I have clients all over the world. I'm interviewing right now in front of you. That's the example. Marvin Storm, who is the expert in what he does, over 25 years experience. I'm blessed to have him as a guest. So from nowhere, not knowing anybody, getting to Marvin Storm, Marv, to interview him, and he was so kind to accept it. Now we are on this call. See, there's a big transformation from 180 angle where I was, where I've done it, taken all the risks. I could imagine they are a calculated one. Sometimes things doesn't work the way you think. That's the risk Mar was talking about, being entrepreneurship. Because you're reading this magazine and you're watching this interview, what they really mean is you're already an entrepreneur, but we just want to make sure you get it. It's important for you to actually know the risks and get involved. The family part of your be on communication, be on the same page. Marvin, you want to say something on this?
Well, you sounds like you were much more communicative with your family than I was with mine, because my theory at the time was that I wanted to protect them. I wanted to shield them from the uncertainty and the risk and what I was feeling at the time. And, you know, that was, turns out, not such a great idea. And
Okay, so now here is the lesson. You said in the article, 3 things the entrepreneurs should teach their children. Go with the step by step, all 3. Let's be quick on this.
well, you know, I think that you should teach your children a little bit about, you know, what the entrepreneurship is all about. Talk about it. You know, share with them what entrepreneurship is and what it isn't. I think that your children should work in your business. They should see you. I did it with my father, and I did not do that with my kids. There was opportunities for them to work in the business, but I didn't have them work in the business. So I think you should hire your kids. There's, you know, tax advantages for hiring them, but there's also the real life experience that they get in working. And don't treat them special, just treat them as one of your employees. And I think you should let your kids be entrepreneurial themselves, start their own business, no matter how small it is. And that's, again, I was entrepreneurial enough when I was young to start my own business and to do entrepreneurial things because my father created an environment for that to happen. And I followed his entrepreneurial footsteps, where some of my children, some have, but some are not. But, you know, my suggestion for those entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs out there, you know, I think you need to talk about entrepreneurship, talk about why you're doing what you're doing. I think you need to let them work in your business if you have a business, and then help them do their own thing. You know, if they want to do something that's innovative or creative, you know, provide them a little seed money. Show that what they can do with that. See if they can multiply that investment you've made in them. And I think you will get huge dividends if you follow these 3 simple steps. Entrepreneurs have a unique opportunity to give hands-on experience to kids that most other folks do not.
Thank you so much. It has been, we are blessed to have you on this call. And let me tell you my little story. I'm an entrepreneur. In fact, anybody I meet, I talk to them. I say, hey, have you started your own business yet? I'm talking my brother, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law. I mean everybody. In fact, in some cases, they avoid me. Oh, he is going to talk about some business to us. I'm that much passionate about when it comes to. My brother works with me for over 14 years, and we call him a mini Sadiq. You know, they have to know exactly the same blueprint. When I get into new venture with a new client or new things, I actually call him and tell him, here was the opportunity, how I perceived it, and how we are going to execute it. I want to share with him as it is happening, so he can watch over my shoulder. That's how I transfer my knowledge. You know, something happened to me today, he can run my business. I have my brother-in-law working with me, and we worked for a short time. Then, of course, he had his own way of working, which is okay. It doesn't matter. We're still a brother-in-law. Nothing happened. You want a clear communication, set the expectation right, so then they actually understand it. Not everybody can own a business. We want to have own a business. We will not be in these big issues of the world if everybody owned their own business, by the way. I know the school, I'm making probably a controversial statement here. The schools worldwide, including US, all designed to train you as an employee, work for somebody else. However, you want to learn how to think. School's job is to teach you how to start thinking. The degree, don't tell me you have a degree. Okay, degree is your level, how you're communicating with somebody. Somebody could feel it, you're an educated person. You don't have to tell. Do you agree with this or no?
I sure do. Your statement that our educational system is geared to teach you how to be an employee. You know,
Okay.
I wrote a book about that, transition from employee to entrepreneur. That's a real foundation book. That from the time you're in kindergarten, people are asking you, what do you want to grow when you be up? What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a nurse. You know, I want to be a doctor. Well, all those things are employees, and then through high school, you're, you know, to think like an employee. You go to college, all they talk about is how to interview and to prepare for a job. And when you get out of college or high school, your whole orientation is, I got to work for somebody else and get a paycheck. And I didn't grow up in that type of environment. I grew up differently, and when I got out, I did not think like that. And I consider myself fortunate that I didn't. Life as an entrepreneur is exhilarating, it's challenging, it's fun, financially rewarding. I am light years ahead of where I would have been if I'd have been an employee and toiled away for decades for somebody else, stacking bricks for somebody else. So I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and I agree with that 100%. If I would have an employee, I have no idea how many years I would have been back. Because as an entrepreneur, the definition is not, oh, you own a business. If you're thinking to work less when you own a business, please keep your job. Don't leave that job. This is not for you. If you're working 40 hours a week and you're tired, it's too much, I don't have no time for anything else, welcome to little entrepreneurship world where you work 80 hours a week, where you work 100 hours a week, where you work sometimes 40 hours a week, and sometimes you don't work anything for that week. Then welcome to entrepreneurship. Okay, and you will have many hats. You will be running customer service calls. You will be running a business. You will be talking to a client. You are everything. And a job, you have probably 30, 20, 30, 50, 100, 5,000 employees, and everybody has their own role. Welcome to the world where you have to do for everybody else roles yourself. That's called entrepreneurship. And I'm sure you like I love the message that is shared by Marv with us today. However, it's not about me. It's about you who are watching this. Has he connected with you yet? I want you to connect with him on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Twitter, and tell him I came from Work From Home magazine. I watched your interview. I read your article. I like you, or I even hate you. Does not matter. If you connected with him, his message, talk about it. Go on LinkedIn and also comment on his article. Hey, I read watch this interview on a Work From Home magazine, and here I have more questions. I'm going to give you a better way to actually connect with him. Are you ready? Where are your cell phone, by the way? I keep my cell phone 2 feet away from me. I have no idea what you do, but I'm told over 90% people have their cell phone within few feet away. So now you can take a moment to take your cell phone, and here's how my cell phone look like. Okay, it's an old iPhone. I'm not like a new flashy gadget guy. I know your phone may look better, way better than this one. You can laugh at me if you like to. However, I know I'm told last time when I asked somebody, every cell phone can send a text. It could be a text message, it could be SMS, what you call it. It doesn't matter. Once you turn it on, there's a place to send a text message. And now you take your cell phone out. As I said, I have my with me right now. What I want you to do is send a message to, in a number, put a 407-270-1441. I repeat, 407-270-1441. If my zero is bothering you by any chance, it's a 407-270-1441. In a message, put a Marv, M-A-R-V, and I apologize for my beautiful handwriting if you can't understand this. It's M-A-R-V, M like mother, A like apple, R like Robert, and V like Victor. The moment you send a Marv in a message, I'm going to ask you, my system, you are giving me a permission to send you a text message. I'm going to send you first text message. Thank you so much for coming from this interview. What's your name, please? I'm going to ask you that name. You are going to enter your name and in reply to the text message. Then I'm going to ask you the email address. Once I get your email, then I'm going to send that information to Marv, and Marv can actually answer any additional question, or you can ask any additional question to him. My role is to connecting you. You are watching this. You are the audience. You are the most important person in this whole community. Work from home. You are watching this. You have more questions. You like the guests. You like the content. Keep the engagement going. Talk to them. Get your question answered. You may be starting your own business. Yeah, ask questions. I'm not the expert. I'm just a facilitator here. And you may not like my accent. I apologize for that. However, I'm going to connect you with the guest. My role is to connect people together. I have been doing this for 20 years. I'm so blessed to be in that role. And I have made many people difference in their life. If you don't want to take a next action, whatever the problems you have, keep the problems to yourself. However, if you want to talk to an expert to remove that problem, that potentially the chances when you talk it through, you may even remove that problem. That will happen, but that can only happen this way. I'm going to show you one more time. This is the last time. It's a warning. 407-270-1441, and in the message put a Marv. I apologize. Cut. In the message put a Marv, M-A-R-V. And in case you are texting it from outside of US or Canada, you may have to put a +1 on the front. This number accepts a text message worldwide. When you are sending me a text message, you are giving me a permission to call you or text you. However, you can stop myself or my team, or by my system, you can get a call. In case you want to stop the call, you don't like us, you don't like my guest for any reason, we respect your opinion. We respect you every time, irrespective of what the opinion you hold on. You can always send a stop. We will not send you any call or any text anymore. On the behalf of Work From Home magazine and my entire team who works 24/7 around the world, and my guest, Marvin Storm, we want to appreciate the viewer. You are the most important person in this one because you're watching this. And then including you and my team and everybody else, we want to thank our guest, Marvin Storm. Marvin, thank you so much. We really enjoyed time together. Thank you so much for coming, and we will look forward to speaking with you soon.